Hello and welcome to another episode of Smash Accept Fantasy. I'm your host, Michael Royer. You can find me on Twitter at DynastyDadFF. Joined as always is my co-host at FFSnoog. Today we got a fun show. We're going to talk about week 2 bounce back candidates. So a lot of you guys were really let down by some major studs in week 1. And now it's time to see who are those guys that are going to bounce back and give you guys a win in week 2. For me, the first guy, and I know we were really frustrated by what Caleb Williams did in Tennessee, but now we get DJ Moore, who had 9 targets. He goes up against the Texans, which was a major shootout last week. And by the way, a little bit over here, it's a DJ Moore Smash More September. We're giving away a DJ Moore jersey autographed from Pristine Auction. All you guys got to do is subscribe to the YouTube page, drop it on our Smash More September hashtag, and you guys are automatically entered to win that DJ Moore jersey. DJ Moore had 9 targets, 5 receptions, but I think with the news of Rome Odunze likely missing some extended time here, I think DJ Moore is going to eat this week in a shootout with the Texans. I think Caleb bounces back. And there's another guy in this scenario, Snoog, where you can't say DJ Moore is going to bounce back without Keenan Allen bouncing back as well.
Yeah, Keenan Allen, 11 targets, 40% of the targets share in that offense between Rome, Keenan Allen, and DJ Moore and everybody else. Keenan Allen dropped a touchdown pass on a designed route that was right in and out of his hands. He catches that 9 out of 10 times in his sleep. That time he didn't. He also was overthrown on like a 40, 30-yard chunk play that would have put him up with some even better yardage and even better fantasy points from last week. New offense, new offensive coordinator, new QB, new team for Keenan Allen. It's going to take a little bit for this to mesh, but when it does, Keenan Allen, especially if Rome Odunze misses time, is just going to be the very easy target for Caleb Williams underneath. Slants, digs, out routes. That's where he specializes. It's crosses across the middle. It's going to be the him, DJ Moore show, and Keenan Allen significantly cheaper in all formats for fantasy football. I think he's going to have a bounce back, and I have been buying into him a little bit the past day and a half, or day now, because I bought in 2 shares for less than a second in Dynasty, so.
All right, the guy that I am we all wanted to be our fantasy, absolute savior this year. It was Marvin Harrison Jr. So Marvin Harrison Jr. goes to the dream landing spot with Kyler Murray. He gets this opportunity to be the wide receiver 1, and week 1 he goes out. He's got the snaps, he's got the looks, and he comes out with 1 reception for 4 yards. And everybody's like, Dad, should I be panicking? And the answer is no. Okay, Kyler Murray's going to be just fine. Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be just fine. He just missed. Kyler should have hit him on a 50-yard bomb down the side for a touchdown, which we'd be talking totally different right now, right? We say 2 catches, 54 yards, and a touchdown. All right, that's acceptable range. But I think because we saw the way we did, they are going to have another shootout with the Rams. The Rams, just gave up a huge game to Jameson Williams. I think this is the bounce back for Marvin Harrison Jr. If you can go out there and redraft right now and you could buy low and you can make a trade where you upgrade at your running back and perceived downgrade at wide receiver, I think you are in a spot where you buy low on Marvin Harrison Jr., you ride him out for the championship, and you just enjoy the process the whole way through.
Yeah, it seemed to be a very gross week for week 1, especially for wideouts and quarterbacks and tight ends. Another wide receiver that was missed on a 35-plus yard touchdown, double move, absolutely cooked his defender, just slightly overthrown was Amari Cooper. 9 targets, 95% of snaps. Deshaun Watson looked like crap, but still threw the ball 45 times. If Deshaun Watson's truly going to be this bad, Amari Cooper is going to get a ton of targets. If there's anybody that I'm going to own in the Cleveland Browns offense, it's Amari Cooper. He just has those big games that win you weeks, and he usually stays pretty consistent. Going into the year, he was at 17-plus points per game with Deshaun Watson. I'm not worried out of Amari Cooper, but I'm worried for the Browns' offense in general. Not a fan of Deshaun Watson, not owning anybody not named Amari Cooper, and he's just going to continue to dominate this target share, and he's super cheap in all formats.
Yeah, the next guy for me, we're sticking with the wide receiver vibe, is Chris Olave. So if you had told me that the New Orleans Saints would score 47 and he would not be involved, he would only have 3 receptions, I would have not believed you. But Chris Olave, a lot of things happened that were very interesting in that first game with Carolina. They ended up getting a lot of touchdowns from different ways. They were putting things together. It was an Alvin Kamara show, but I think Chris Olave comes back. He's got a tough matchup against Dallas, so I don't expect him being a 20-point plus type guy. but a lot of people are really hitting the panic button. You drafted him in round 2 or round 3 in your redraft leagues. You got to stick with Chris Alve, and you're going to take the good with the bad. Usually the floor is very safe. So I think this was an anomaly, and I think we see Chris Alve bounce back in week 2.
Yeah, another wide receiver very similar, same draft class, same type of talent, Drake London. I would like to believe that Drake London is elite and he is going to bounce back. Kirk Cousins looked absolutely putrid in week 1. 2 interceptions, fumbles, looked all over the place. Looked like he hasn't played football in 5 years, but he is coming off a season-ending Achilles injury. It's his first game on a brand new offense, brand new team with new players. This is another situation that it might take a few weeks for them to settle in, right? Like, Drake London's guaranteed better QB play than he's ever had, whether it's Michael Penix, whether it's Kirk Cousins. I hope he just can bring back that target share dominance that he had as a rookie and as a sophomore. But, I mean, it's year 3 now. We're just hoping for that Drake London breakout. If it's not coming in this year, it ain't looking so good for Drake London.
Yeah, and Dynasty, it's one thing, but redraft, you took him round 2, round 3. You're going to have to ride it out because you're not going to be able to trade him right now. It's going to be very, very difficult. The other guy, he went round 1. The only guy who was a round 1 guy that really struggled week 1. And to me, the safest floor out of any of the wide receivers drafted, when I was looking at things on draft day, Amon-Ra St. Brown left a real dud week 1. It's not going to happen again. Like, you look across his game log and it just doesn't happen. So that was an interesting byproduct of Jameson Williams. Really, I think them trying to get him overly involved in that first game, really try to set the tone for him. Look for Amon-Ra to bounce back in a really interesting game there against the Buccaneers. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game, and I think Amon-Ra St. Brown comes back into fury with 8+ receptions and leads your team in week 2.
Yeah, going with another guy that I thought was going to have a really high floor and be the number one target in an elite offense right from the get was Dalton Kincaid. I mean, the dude went out and put up 1 reception for 11 yards on 2 targets. In a game where Josh Allen was an absolute masterclass MVP caliber game where he put up 4 total touchdowns. I think Dalton Kincaid is going to slowly work into that number 1 role. I don't know what it was in week 1, but I know they have a shootout against Miami this Thursday coming up. I think Dalton Kincaid has a bounce back game. I think he starts to be that target earner, that guy underneath for Josh Allen, that safety blanket, and I think we're going to see a lot more of him moving forward for you tight end guys, because it clearly wasn't the week for elite dynasty tight ends or elite tight ends in general this week.
It wasn't the week for tight ends anybody outside Isaiah Likely. Like we had all of the guys, Travis Kelce, Trey McBride, Dalton Kincaid, Evan Ingram, Mark Andrews. I mean, so many guys just laid an egg for me. And I've already said it about Marvin Harrison Jr., but Trey McBride, 29% target share and really just kind of left a dud, and I think this is a guy that is my tight end 1 for the 2024 season. I think he comes back in a fury. Another game that I think is just going to be a high-scoring game with the Rams at home. I think everybody in that Cardinals offense gets right and smashes in week 2.
Yeah, speaking of the next and last tight end we'll talk about that is elite and had an absolute dud in week 1, not as bad as Dalton Kincaid, was Travis Kelce. He's still tied to Patrick Mahomes. Last year, he still paced tight end 1 in points per game, still had a great year, even though it was considered a down year for him. Yeah, he's 34 years old, but I don't care. They just paid him an extension. He's here to play. He's good. He's still ready to go. He's the main focal point of that offense. He's probably not going to ever be prime Travis Kelce again, but he could be a top 3 tight end in points per game, no doubt in my mind. And I think with Andy Reid, with Pat Mahomes, and in this offense, Travis Kelce is going to bounce back. He's going to find himself in the end zone in a lot of games, and he's got an absolute shootout coming his way in week 2 against the Bengals.
Yeah, so here's the next one, and this should be very easy, but I see a lot of people hitting the panic button. Derrick Henry is going to bounce back in a big way against the Bengals here in week 2, or not the Bengals. Sorry, I take that back. Against the Raiders in week 2. Okay, we saw what he did against the Chiefs. The Chiefs are a very, very good run defense. Now he gets the Raiders, who absolutely got torched by J.K. Dobbins. You look at what Derrick Henry, everybody's like, yeah, you got outsnapped 43-37 by Justice Hill. When they were behind. When they're up, Derrick Henry is going to absolutely eat. It looked like he took a little bit of time to mesh with that offensive line. The good news for the Ravens is they are favorites in 14 of the next 16 games. So he is going to have a lot of positive game script to absolutely punish defenses, and he is going to finish with 2 rushing touchdowns this week against the Raiders.
Yeah, my next guy, speaking of another running back, is Travis Etienne. And I know the Tank Bigsby situation. Travis Etienne still dominated 70% of the snaps, scored a touchdown, almost scored 2 touchdowns, but he had that unfortunate fumble at the end. And he got all the receiving down work. That's where all the valuable fantasy points come. I'm honestly glad that Travis Etienne is going to have a little bit of workload taken off his hands because it's going to help him stay fresher, more explosive. I hope to just see Tank Bigsby be that 8 to 10 touch guy, maybe on that first down or that second down, just to give Travis Etienne more of a breather this year because he was absolutely horrible last year, and Travis Etienne was just the dominant guy that had all the touches, second in total touches at the running back position, finished RB3 overall. I think he's going to bounce back against this Cleveland Browns defense. What you would think he wouldn't, because that's a really good defense. I just have a feeling, though, that Travis Etienne can pop 50-yard touchdown at any given moment, and I think that he's going to do it this week and show why he was a top 5, top 10 running back last year and moving forward.
My third guy here is Kyren Williams. Kyren Williams last year, 1,100 yards, 5 yards per carry, 12 touchdowns. Week 1 against Detroit. And Detroit has a top 2 run defense. They're filthy when it comes to those front 4. But 18 carries for 50 yards. It was not what we were expecting. 2.8 yards per carry. Kyren Williams saw 91% of snaps, Snoog. He was out there all the time. He got those 3 receptions, still didn't finish in that top 12. It was kind of in that fringe area. Kyren Williams bounces back in a big way against that Arizona run defense that made James Cook look really sharp, that let Josh Allen run the way he did. Kyren Williams is going to bounce back in a big way, and I think he's a lock for a top 12 finish in this particular week.
Yeah, I'm going to go with a quarterback here, our first quarterback, because it clearly wasn't the week of the quarterbacks. I'm going to go with Joe Burrow. Hopefully T. Higgins plays next week. Hopefully Jamar Chase figures it out and stops being a big baby and helps out his team win, because that's what he's there to do. And he needs to earn that contract. If you want to get paid like CeeDee Lamb, you want to get paid like Justin Jefferson, earn that. Go out and do that because you haven't yet. You had a good rookie season. You've been good since then. You've been elite since then, but you haven't been the best. And to get paid like the best, you have to be the best. So for Joe Burrow, he always beats the Chiefs somehow, some way, even though he's been an absolute stinker the past 2 years. I think that he's going to bounce back. I think he's going to have a good game. Not an 8-point game, that's for sure. He might put up 20, maybe 25. I think he's going to have a good bounce back game because he always has the Chiefs' name written on the back of his jersey, and he's always out for their number. So I think that's a good matchup for him to bounce back and a must-win game for them to not go 0-2 to start off the year.
The next one is Justin Fields. Justin Fields made it through an entire week without a fumble or an interception, and he wasn't a top 12 quarterback. How often does that happen? He was running the ball very well. He protected the ball. They ended up with 6 field goals, but I feel like he punches 2 of those in, and we're talking about Justin Fields being a top 10 quarterback again for fantasy. Not in real life, in fantasy. I think Justin Fields bounces back. He has a really strong matchup this week against the Broncos. The Broncos have been torched over the last year and a half. So I think Justin Fields is going to run one in. He'll throw one in, and I think he finishes as a top 12 quarterback in week 2 against that Broncos. Finishes up here, and then I'm going to throw a bonus guy in.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Dak Prescott. And I just think, CeeDee got paid. Dak just got paid. They had a tough week 1 matchup against Cleveland. That's one of the top defenses in the NFL. They blew the doors off them, so the game script wasn't really in favor of Dak and the Cowboys. It was kind of, he had most of his passing yards in that first half there. Dak Prescott against the New Orleans Saints is a great matchup with CeeDee Lamb there. He has the potential. Last year he was QB3. I really like this opportunity for Dak Prescott to have a big game, especially in week 2, early on with CeeDee Lamb.
And the last one, I'm just throwing a bonus guy on there. I know we say 12 bounce backs, but I think it's Kirk Cousins this week. On Monday against the Eagles secondary has given up points over the last year and some change, and I think that they're going to get beat in the secondary. They're going to try to key on Bijan Robinson. You already have London as your bounce back wide receiver. I think Kirk Cousins is a nice bounce back candidate, like we were talking about before, where he's getting familiar with a new offense. He gets this opportunity here, and I think he smashes in week 2. Make sure you guys hit that smash subscribe button down below. Make sure you guys check us out. Patreon, Discord, that's Patreon/Smash Accept. $5 a month gets you access to both of us, our rankings, Dynasty and Redraft. We got you covered for everything you need, and that DJ Moore jersey, man. So make sure you guys get in for that. Thanks again for tuning in, and enjoy the process. Hey, yo.
That was good.